Okay, good to roll. My name's Karina, and I'm gonna go just a quick spill, just a little bit of my history and kind of how I ended up with on-demand wellness. But I have been a nurse for going on a little over 10 years now, with an extensive background, mainly in like trauma, so ER, ICU, and a little bit of different things like oncology, home health, just a mixture of things. Um, I got pretty sick of like the bedside nursing there through like the COVID years. So this truly started right around probably the 2021 years of when I started really thinking in myself, in my brain, like, okay, I want something different for myself. What can I do? Like, what options do I have? The funny story is, and I share this story all the time because I feel like it's important that I started reaching out to Brandon several years ago. So he was sharing in a group. We have a group called Amarillo Nurse Network where a lot of the nurses like in the area are in this Facebook group and you can kind of see like different jobs and stuff like that for nurses. Well, he had been sharing in that group about either, working for him as an infusion nurse or if anybody was ever interested in starting their own infusion company. So I would reach out, I would ask him just basic questions. He would answer my questions and then I would ghost him because I was like, there's no way this is like legit. It's not true. And then I would just get anxious about it and just wouldn't like touch it again. So, and then again, those feelings again, where I just wasn't happy at bedside, they would come back to me again. And then I would see his posts, message him again, and ask him maybe another few simple questions. He'd answer my questions and then I would ghost him again. I wouldn't continue the conversation basically. So, Brandon and I probably did that for a good, what, like 2.5, maybe even 3 years, Brandon, that we went back and forth.
Yeah, I still have all the DMs, all
Yeah,
of them.
we went back and forth. So I just was very anxious. I didn't ask a lot of questions, to begin with. I didn't ask the right questions, I guess. And I didn't really give Brandon the opportunity to explain a lot just because I just wouldn't respond. Just because in my head, I was like, can this work? Is this legit? Where am I going to get a medical director? How am I going to get in touch with pharmacies? Like, ah, sorry, my phone went through. Somebody was trying to call me. Let me put it on Do Not Disturb real quick.
You're all good. You're all good. We still got you.
Okay, you see me? Okay, good. So I just all of that was going through my head. And I think the second thing that really held me down was that, the financial stability or the having the secure paycheck that I was getting every day from like a hospital setting, right? So then I grew up in a really small town, population of 4,000, and I went and moved to a city, Amarillo, Texas, if anybody knows it. And I lived there for 4 years. So I was able to work in some of their bigger hospitals and an oncology setting and stuff for a few years. And we decided to come back home to our little town of population of about 4,000. We came back home. We have a small rural hospital here. And I went back to working at the hospital that I had originally started at. And I just didn't have that happiness that I was itching for. And I closed that door and I messaged Brandon and I said, okay, Brandon, it's time. Like it's time to do this. I want to jump in full force. Let's get it going. Just because there wasn't other options in Friona, the hospital's truly the only thing that I have available here. If I wanted to work in another clinical setting, I needed to drive an hour. And even then, I just was like, I'm not happy. I want to do something different. So I reached out to Brandon. I asked all the correct questions this time. He answered all my questions and he worked me through the process, through the program. So I reached out to him in October of 2024 and I was able to soft launch my business by the beginning of December. And I did my grand opening the very January 8th of 2025. And so 2025, just last year, was my first full official year of running my business altogether. And, I always like to put out there that I run my business in a small community and it was very successful. That was another fear of mine too, is that something like this wouldn't work in a small town, as small as mine. And it did. So it definitely has opened doors not only for myself and my family, but to my community as well. They weren't really aware of the options that this can offer. So I think it's helpful to your clients as well. So I want to kind of just stop there and then let people kind of chime in and see what questions they have, and I can answer from there.
So I got one thing I want you to share real quick, uh,
Okay.
Karina. I think this is just important for everybody to hear. You told me what your initial goal was, right? And
Yeah,
then what you ended up doing. Do you mind just briefly going over that?
absolutely. So I created a business plan, starting off right before we launched everything. And I had put in my plan that my goal for my business to make, this is obviously before expenses and everything, like my total goal for my business to make in the 1 year was 150,000. That was my goal. I think I hit that goal within the first 3 to 4 months. Easy, hit it like nothing. I did not expect that to happen. And we just kept every single month, we kept growing on how much we were making every single month.
Now, the one thing I do want to throw out there to everybody, and if you know Karina or you've looked at Karina's page, you will know this. Um, Karina is social media. She puts herself out there. She's constantly promoting herself. And this, I'm sure some of you might have these questions, but I want you to know that she's very active in promoting her business and how she can help people is probably the best way to put it. And so um, it didn't just happen. Like she
Mm.
went out, she did what she needed to do, she put the work in. But now the goal of this is to be very interactive. So somebody, we got one question here. That was 150K was that was before anything. That was gross before anything came out.
Yes,
She did
that was
that in her
gross.
between her first 3 and 4 months. Um, okay, I know you have questions. If you're thinking of a question, I guarantee you somebody else has the same question or something similar. So do me a favor, somebody pop off, or I'll call on people, and let's get the questions answered that everybody has.
Karina, what propelled you or like pushed you forward to start doing like the social media and like getting the business out there, like promoting the business when you first started? Like, how did you know or how did you get comfortable doing that to start gaining clients?
So Brandon does really good, and the on-demand wellness team, they're good at setting you up to succeed from the very beginning. So one of the first things Brandon told me in that first conversation we had in October was, okay, from right now, before we even start everything at all, you need to go and make a business Facebook page and start posting, hey, something's coming soon. Hey, IV hydration and wellness business coming soon near you. We'll be offering things like infusions, weight loss. So that initially is what started it. I kind of was already comfortable with social media to begin with. I would make like content creation here and there, like on TikTok. Um, and when I started my business, when I saw how people were responding to like my initial post of, hey, something's coming, I knew just, in the time and day that we're living in right now, that social media is the place where you're going to target a good percentage of clients. So, it was just trial and error. I would, post on Facebook, make certain videos on TikTok and share those videos on like Facebook, stuff like that. And I would see kind of what people were engaging in. And it just kind of led me more and more to continue doing that. And it just helps, I think, to be able to target wider audiences because I get my clients to engage in my social media post. So each individual person has a group of people that they're friends with, right? And so we all are friends with different areas. Like they have friends all the way in California or whatever, right? And so I would get them to engage with, hey, go like, share, and comment on this post for a chance to win $100 gift card to my business to use it however you want to. So them engaging and sharing gave the opportunity for someone else to see what I was offering. So it just really helps target a wider audience and it has helped a lot. So one thing I've asked clients too when they come in, hey, how did you find out about us? They'll tell me, girl, I saw you on Facebook. Hey, I saw you on TikTok. Like a lot of people will find us there. So that push, I think initially when I just kind of saw people were like, hey, I saw you here, I saw you there, I saw this on Facebook. I noticed that it was grabbing people's attention. So we kept with it.
Okay. And do you feel like that's your biggest like driver for new clients?
100%. So there's two things that I feel like target clients. My first one is social media, where they see it. Second became word of mouth. So my word of mouth didn't start happening until I really started establishing the clients. But my those are my two main ones. For sure, the social media, and the second's word of mouth. People go and start talking, "Hey, I went and got this infusion. It made me feel better. You got to go try it out." And then they come.
Okay. And you started with a brick and mortar or have you done mobile?
So I started with the brick and mortar. That was my
Okay.
initial start. Yeah. I usually tell people it probably doesn't hurt to start mobile to begin with, try to get some income kind of rolling in the
Yeah.
beginning. And that was something that Brandon had advised me too. He was like, hey, start the GLP ones initially because that doesn't really require supplies or anything, for you to put people on at home weight loss. You literally are doing everything on a computer and it ships directly from the pharmacy to their home. So it's something that you can make profit on without having to put a lot of expense into it. So I do recommend maybe starting mobile just to kind of get your feet wet and get some of that money rolling and then, kind of move forward to trying to get a brick and mortar. But I had a really good deal here where I was at in the building that I got into. So I kind of just took advantage of it and just jumped right in.
Yeah. Okay. And do you have a lot of other, you said you're from a small town. Are there a lot of other businesses that are doing this now, like wellness and IV hydration and stuff?
So in the small town that I'm in, no, I'm the only one that offers it, but there are businesses that are very similar to mine in kind of a like kind of the local town. So for example, the closest one to me would be okay, there's this like a town like 20 minutes from me. They don't offer like infusions and stuff, but they do the aesthetics. The closest one for you to be able to do infusions would probably be Amarillo, which is Brandon's location, and they're about an hour and 20-minute drive from me. There's Lubbock, which is about a 2-hour drive from me. And then there's Clovis, which is about a 45-minute hour drive from me. So there's some kind of around me, but not in my specific town, just because so small. They didn't, a lot of the people in my community didn't even know something like this existed.
Right, right. Okay. Where
Mhm.
for me, like I've been in the business for March will be 2 years now, and I've been
Mhm.
mobile the whole time. But I'm in Houston and we are saturated.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to make the decision if we needed to do a brick and mortar, if we need to
Mhm.
hop on board with a new company, like new medical director to help like build that and push the business forward. So that's kind of why I'm on the call to
Yeah.
kind of hear some ins and outs of that.
So I feel like the brick and mortar works just because people like a physical location. They like to see face to face who's taking care of them. They like to be able to just step away from their home to be able to get care. Like I've noticed, I people love coming into the location. They like to be able to sit down with me and talk to me personally and ask questions. I feel like it helps a lot. And then, just putting yourself out there, try to do things that are different that, can pull you away from all the other infusion clinics. So I'm really big on education. I really push on education, especially on my GLP-1 clients. And I feel like that's what separates us from a lot of the other clinicians, I guess you could say, that are offering GLP-1s because they are just giving them the shot and then just kind of leave them on their own. And we don't. We educate a lot and we stay in contact with them all the time. We're following up with them all the time. And people like that. They like that you care about them. So they come to us because we stay connected with them.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Hey,
You're
Jamie, I
welcome.
want to throw one thing in real quick.
Yeah.
This is for anybody, no matter where you're at. I hear that a lot, that phrase of we're oversaturated. It feels that way when you search Google or whatever and you see all these IV companies. I know Houston. Houston is massive. There are so
Mhm.
many people, and the same thing here where I'm at in DFW. You're not oversaturated. What Karina was just talking about, you don't want to be just another IV company.
Mhm.
if everybody sees you as just an IV company, then they're going to go to the cheapest or the most convenient. Number one, you got to make it an experience. Number two, just like she was talking about, some of these IV companies market well, some of them don't market well. And so you have to get known, especially in your local area that you're going to service. So I would encourage you to really up your game on the marketing. Remember that, and this is everybody remember this, marketing might as well be testing. When you say I'm going to market, that means you're going to test something. So
Yeah.
with Karina and her social media, I guarantee if she breaks it down, and I know she's done some of this, she knows what type of post she's going to get more comments and more people reaching out to her. She knows which type of events, but she also knows what she's done that's gotten her nothing that she thought would be a home run. So some things are
Mhm.
going to work and some aren't, but you don't know unless you're continually doing these things.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So real quick, we got a couple questions in the chat. Everybody do me a favor. When you get a second, if you'll go in a chat, put your first name, last name, because some of you are iPhone, some of you are different names. If you'll put your first name, last name, put your state, and then put your license, like if you're an RN or MP or whatever you might be, and then just put what you've struggled with or hurdle you've run into for me when you just get a minute. A couple more questions. Karina, how many months before you started promoting on social media, uh, before you opened your door?
Right away. Right away.
So it probably was
I,
like a month, right?
yeah, I was promoting even before I did my soft opening.
Okay, so what do you think? Like when you signed up, is that the
I
day you?
signed up in October. I did that first initial post that October of something coming soon. And by November, what I knew I was offering, I was already sharing my menu. I was already sharing the weight loss options. I was already sharing stuff like that on both Facebook, no, just Facebook at that time. The videos like TikTok and stuff started happening probably the month of our grand opening, which was January. So, I mean, literally right away, we started sharing on social media.
Perfect. Okay, and then another question here. Um, this one's for me. Yes, we do have social media assets. We have different, they're mostly all built out in Canva. So all you do is copy them over. We have a whole school group for all of our nurses. So all you do is copy them over, edit it for your business, and you can reuse it. We have menu templates. We have actually social media ad, Facebook ad templates as well. Um, okay, here you go. This one's for you, Karina. So this is from Tegan. I'm new here. How long did it take you to break through? How expensive is the starting cost? So let's talk about that. Just we're not let's not talk about the variables. So we all know that if you have a location, you're going to have rent, you're going to have bills, utilities. There's a huge range there. It all depends on if you're doing one room or a full-fledged med spa. But just talk in general terms, Karina, of getting started, what were some of your costs?
So started like the main cost with at least getting all my supplies, including that includes even like IV poles, infusion chairs. Um, it also included even like desks and stuff for like the clinic setting, like my office, reception desk. I think we spent right around 10,000 to get us up and running and started. So, and that was because I felt like I shopped a little too crazy because I wasn't 100% sure how much I was going to need of everything. And I think since then, y'all have kind of set something up, Brandon, right? Where y'all kind of give some insight on kind of what to buy or what to start off with.
Yeah, so I can tell you this is mobile, kind of the basics of what you need. Typically, you're going to be looking in that five to six
Hmm.
thousand dollar range. Now, the more I don't want to call it bougie, but whether it's the more bougie or the more items you want, obviously that can grow. But just
Hmm.
speaking of your insurance, your monthly fee, getting any like all the little stuff you just went over, pulse ox, blood pressure cuffs. I mean, all that stuff's cheap on Amazon. So just kind of getting your basic, and then it's also your basic small startup of your supplies. And just as Karina said earlier, like if you're doing GLP-1s or you're doing peptides, typically those you can do them in office, but typically you're going to ship them to the client's home. So you never do anything until you make a sale. Obviously, IV therapy bags, your vitamins and all that, you're going to keep at the house or in your location. So that's the stuff you buy beforehand. But you also don't want to buy a ton of them. You want to start small and grow as you grow. So,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So let's check the chat here. So just to finish that question off, Tegan, as far as how long did it take you to break through, um, this is going to be really dependent on how involved you were. So
Yeah,
with Karina, she said it took her 3 to 4 months, and she was already at about 150,000 gross, so not counting expenses. Um,
right.
the more you market, the more you get out there. This is what I love to tell everybody when you market. Number one, your internal network. Everybody in your phone, everybody on your Facebook, everybody at anywhere you work. Number two is you're trying to get into their network. If you remember, Karina, one of the big things she does is get them to share her stuff, to comment on her stuff, because if I go comment and share Karina's stuff, all my friends see it, right? Not just her friends, but my friends see it. And that's huge because you just start widening your network. Okay. And then, of course, it's local, which I know you're really good at that. Getting involved in
Mm.
local events, that's huge. And so, all of that, to answer your question, Tegan, is going to determine on how much you market and get yourself out there is how fast you grow. Okay. All right. Let's see if we got any more questions. Karina, how many chairs do you have?
I have 8 infusion chairs.
Okay. And then how many rooms is that?
So the way I made my clinic, I have one big infusion room. I kind of set it up the way, like I said, I used to work in an oncology center as a chemo nurse, and I liked the open chairs with all of them kind of with each other so they could communicate with each other. So that's how I currently have mine set up. I eventually will add private rooms as well.
Perfect. Okay. So, just recap real quick. So we still got some time. If you have questions, throw them in the chat. If you want to come off and say something, we can definitely do it that way as well. Do me a favor if you haven't already, put your full name in the chat because most of you have, we're getting better. Almost everybody has their name in there now. But just so I can know who you are, I can reach out to you just in case there's questions that don't get answered here. Don't be afraid to ask a question. I promise if you're thinking it, somebody else is thinking it. Also, put your license in the group. Also put what your hurdle has been. And so let's see if we got a new question for you, Karina.
Brandon, who do y'all recommend using for insurance? Do you have a recommendation?
Yes. So, and I'm going to put this in the chat. I have no affiliation with this group.
Okay.
They're called cmfgroup.com. Okay.
Okay.
You can go on their website. You can get a free quote online. There's another one, nso.com. Now, I recommend these more so for individual nurses, just single, maybe two. If you have more of the med spa and you need a bigger, then I would go with more of a different setup. Like I use Blackburn because I have 20 something nurses I have to cover.
Right.
These are better for like more individual.
Okay, so this would be for 1 to 2 nurses, and if you need something bigger than that, then there's other services for that.
Yes. Now they could have changed, but CMF Group used to say whatever they charge for one nurse, they're going to do the same thing for two, for three, for four. So it gets pretty expensive versus like my policy is a group policy. So even though I have 20 nurses, I'm paying way less than what I would be paying if I had one of these ones that charge a set rate per nurse.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Thanks, Brandon.
You're welcome. Okay.
Stephanie said, is the GFE new patient process pretty simple with on demand? So simple. My clients love how quick, easy, and efficient it is. From the moment we send the intake queue form that they fill out, which is like their intake information, and then we send the link to do the consult, depending on how fast they can text to like fill out their forms, you can usually have them through that process within 10 to 15 minutes. It's pretty quick.
All right, here we go. We got another one for you. How did you start seeing a difference or profit after you started marketing? She's a little bit late. So she missed that part. Yeah.
Okay.
So when did you start seeing a difference with marketing?
I think after we truly got established, like I said, I feel like once we started getting more of the followers on social media, I feel like that's where the growth really started with the marketing, because obviously if you start with, 5, 10, 50, 100 followers, then that doesn't get out as much. And then once we started getting more of those followers, then I mean, it's made a big difference. I think it took us probably a solid like 5, 6 months before we really gained a good following that allowed us to really get our stuff out there.
And just to add on to that, so remember, whenever you're trying to promote, you're getting out on social media, right? You got to build that. And so what Karina did, and this is what we did when we launched, is you get in front of people. You do that with local events.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go places to get in front of people because they got to know you. If you just open a business, I love to say this, if I just snap my fingers and your business is open, you're going to probably have no business because nobody knows about you except for maybe your mom, your sister, your brother, right? So you have to get out there and get in front of people. And as you're doing that, you have to build your social media presence and be consistent with it. So, okay. So this is a good question here. Is it advisable to start renting the room in existing patient care service facility? So I'll take this one. I love if you can start in a business that already has um, your ideal client. So you're starting in a med spa and they don't offer your services, or you're starting in some type of a wellness clinic, chiropractor, just someone that you can collaborate with and promote. That's a great way to start because it could be instant clientele. We did that with my Weatherford location. I started in a med spa. I was there in a 10 by 10 room for 3.5 months and we started busting out the seams. So then we went and got our own place and rent was cheaper, obviously, because it's one room. I had in a 10 by 10 room, I still had 3 chairs in there. I had plenty of room to do everything we needed to do. So good question there. Okay, here you go. Do you personally have a separate booking like Gloss Genius, or is your booking part of the same system? Just wondering if it's on the same platform. Go ahead, Karina.
So I originally had started with Fresha as my program that I was scheduling, and then we actually switched over to Gloss Genius. I want to say about 6 to 7 months ago. I have preferred Gloss Genius as our platform because it allows the payment plan option for our clients, which our clients love. So that allows for them to use Klarna, Affirm, or Afterpay to be able to pay for their stuff. And it's huge. So we actually noticed a huge increase on GLP-1 orders after we offered that option because there was a lot of people that couldn't pay the total all up front and it allowed them to pay it over time. So it made it way more affordable for them. So I do like Gloss Genius for that reason.
Yeah, and I will tell you, no matter what, having those uh, platforms that can do the financing for them is huge. Like you got to have those. You would do so much more business with those.
Yes.
But Steph, to finish that up, so like for example, we offer in on demand, we offer intake queue, so they have to all the charting's done through there, and then they have the freedom to use whatever scheduling system they want. So that's why Karina said she's been through a couple. And then just to answer the other question here about the point of sale system. So this state there's some depends on with this question. If you're in a corporate practice of medicine state and the money has to flow through the doctor, there's a couple ways that can be set up. We do it typically by giving you a point of sale system so the money flows through the doctor and is sent back to you. Some established clinics, there's different ways we do that, like adding the doctor onto the account. But so it depends what kind of state you're in. If you're in a state like Florida, that's a non-corporate practice of medicine state, doesn't matter. The money can flow however, can go through the nurse, the non-medical owner, doesn't matter. All right, Karina, this one's for you. Do you have a membership plan for your IVs and weight loss? Also, are you doing any aesthetics?
For my IVs, I do have a few memberships. I have a few tiers that they can choose from. And then I have a few different options where they can choose, like, for example, a membership for my rebags, which if you end up coming with On Demand, you'll kind of see what those rebags are. They're like 5 different bags you can choose from. But I have a few different memberships for infusions as well as injections. I have a lot of people that come in on a continuous like schedule to get, like, for example, glutathione or B12 or NAD injections. So I try to offer memberships where they can buy those, like 6 injections at a time, and then they can use them over their 1 year approval time frame because you get approved for a year with infusions and IVIMs or like injections. So I have that. Weight loss, I don't have memberships, but I do my weight loss a little different than most people do. I sell mine per vial. So if you are on a lower dose and you have to order a smaller vial because you're on a lower dose, you're going to pay less for that. So mine is set up priced per the vial. So the bigger the vial is, the pricier it's going to be, obviously. So my goal is to try to keep people on the lowest dose possible to help them order the smallest vial possible to help them save the most money. Some clinics will set up like a set rate of they pay the same amount regardless of what dose you're on. I kind of strayed away from that. I wanted to try to help people save money and help kind of encourage them to try to stay on a lower dose as well. So that's why I did it that way. I am doing aesthetics. I'm actually fairly new to introducing that to my business. Woohoo! We started doing lip fillers, I want to say about 4 months ago. And then I just started doing Botox as of last week. I kind of did one individual certification at a time because I really wanted to get comfortable with what I was offering before I just went and did a class and then, started doing it. So I want to say that the aesthetics, I can already see that it's going to increase profit by major amounts because what you can charge for aesthetics is crazy and people love it. So I am doing aesthetics.
And just to add on to that, a great thing about within our program is we have certain aesthetic program products in our aesthetic buyers club, which I'll put I'll put the link down there. Y'all can check it out. But as many of you probably know, if you looked into the aesthetics game, the product is expensive and you typically have to buy in high bulk to get decent prices. And so we've actually partnered with a few companies to get some of that down so you can get way better pricing so you can make more money when you do sell your product. So plus the great thing about like when you get to where Karina is and you've started with a few services and you expand, clients that are getting IV therapy, there's some of those clients that they want beauty. They want the lip fillers. They want the 11s and these lines and stuff taken care of. So you start getting clients that want multiple services. They're not coming to you, they're going to somebody else. So that's great to add those things in as you go. So, okay. Let's see. Karina, when do you say you went full-time initially? If so, do you feel your upscale would have been slower if you were still working full-time and building your business essentially on the side?
Full-time initially, I feel like we hit full-time where we were working for sure the 5 to 6 days a week, probably by that second month after we did our grand opening. So by February of 2025, we went full-time. That first month we opened, we took off. We took off. It got so crazy. Like I thought I was going to be able to still kind of work part-time. So just to kind of put into perspective, I work with our EMS in the little town that I work in, and I was employed by them full-time. And by the end of February, I had to step down to part-time with them because the clinic had gotten so busy that I couldn't do both full-time anymore. So I want to say about a month and a half or so-ish. Do you feel your upsell would have been slower if you were still working full-time and building your business? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So if I would have continued working the full-time hours like I was, I felt like, and at that time, actually, that was the conversation I had with my boss at the time. I told him, hey, I'm starting this business and it needs a lot from me. It needs my attention. My clients want to see me there. They want treatment from me. So, I had to, take that step away and devote myself to the business to where I was there, every day being able to get it established. So I do feel that. And then Jamie had asked, what made you decide on going with on demand versus another company? So Jamie, when I started, kind of talking to Brandon about this, I would look at other companies and kind of compare things. And everything kind of just always led me back to Brandon and on-demand wellness because I felt more security with it. He was always very open with my questions. I never felt like there was a runaround of any type of questions I would ask. It was always very direct, I just felt very safe with it, I guess you could say. And the other companies, when I would look into them, I felt like there was always like hidden fees or hidden things that, when it would come up later, they'd be like, okay, well, after you sign up, then you're going to have to pay for this or that or this or that. And it just kind of pushed me away from it. I did a recent course where I went through a different company that I won't share their name because, everybody does things differently, but, they're kind of sharing their memberships and stuff. And, I was just kind of looking at it because I'd done like a course with them. And I could again see like the different pricing where they kind of lock you in with the membership and then you have to pay for things separately. And I noticed that the pricing on medications and the weight loss and supplies in general were drastically higher than what we were getting through on-demand wellness. So, you get the partnerships with all the pharmacies and stuff with on-demand wellness, and we get those discounted rates because of that. So that was a big one for me. I noticed the difference with that. The moment I took the jump with on-demand, it's been good. I mean, like I said, I'm with them for over a year and there hasn't been anything tricky that's happened along the process. It's been really good for me and they're really good at answering my questions.
Awesome.
Hey, Karina, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
And Brandon, maybe you can answer. So, Aaron and I have been running into a situation with specifically the GLPs and the peptides, saying, the first thing they're going into is the costing of the peptides. And we all know that there are places online that you can get peptides for super cheap. So I didn't know if you had information about the pharmacies and stuff, because to me, it's an education play, but I didn't know how you guys were handling the price objection, because I know, like, for example, today somebody wanted trizepatide, but they were paying $125 for it. I know the cost on that is more than that. So how do you guys handle that situation?
So I've actually run into this quite a bit, and I've had a lot of people run into it. So first and foremost, I tell them, you look, listen, you do whatever's gonna be best for you. I understand financially things are hard. I completely get that. But I also tell them, but also be sure of where you're getting your medications from, because most of the time, a lot of these websites that people order from are not coming directly from a pharmacy. So I always tell them, like, you just have to be careful with those things because you may not be getting what you're truly ordering, and I'll ask them, are you getting the results that you're looking for? Do you feel like it's working? And I'm like, and if it's working and it works great for you and you are getting the results at 100% and you're getting it at that rate, then that's something that ultimately, we can't compete with. But most of the time, I've had a lot of these clients that came in and they're like, I ordered off this website. It was super cheap, but I didn't lose the weight. Like nothing happened. And I'm like, okay, well, why don't you try around with us so you can see the difference from a medication that 100% sure is coming from a pharmacy versus a website where you don't know where it's truly coming from. And that's usually where they can kind of make that switch. But, I always tell them, like, I get it, financially, having to make the decision for those reasons, I get it, but always have that faith or the trust that where it's coming from, because that's the biggie on that for sure.
And
Thank you.
Justin, one of the big things too, and you mentioned this with education, when you look at 503A, which is typically where a lot of this is going to come through, 503A pharmacy, there are some 503B pharmacies that still have the larger in-office use vials. Those are kind of going away, but there are still some. Versus a lot of these onlines that are labs, the requirements of a pharmacy and the standards versus a lab is totally different. Pharmacy standards are way more stringent, and they have all of them have COAs they have to have. Labs will have COAs as well, but they run as supplements. So they run under different, like your any of your companies, like your protein powders, all these supplements, they
Right.
run through that. It's a gray area that's how they get by with what they're doing. And so I would really express there's nothing better than education and what Karina said, where it's coming from, because you're going to get it. We can all go online right now and get GLP-1s at really cheap prices, but also what they can't get with that is who's sitting right beside you, the professional, the medical professional, and the program that they're going to be a part of. So you don't always want to sell, and this is good for everybody to hear this. You don't sell GLP-1s. You're not selling just weight loss. You're selling the emotional and the feeling of where they're going to be when they get those results that they're looking for and how you can help them get there. You got to sell the destination. Okay, that's really important because everybody else is selling weight loss, cheaper prices, GLP-1s. You got to be that, what do they call it? Like there's a blue ocean, you got to be the red in the blue ocean. You got to be that opposite.
Yep. No, I got you. It's a value play in education.
Big
So
time.
thanks. Appreciate it.
Yes. All right, Karina. Karina, did you start solo or did you have anybody with you when you first launched RNs?
So my initial plan was to start solo. I didn't think I'd get so busy. The plan was that I thought I'd hire my first nurse by the 6-month mark. I had a paramedic working in January. Mid-January, I had to hire him, and he came on to my team. And that was before all of like the Jennifer's Law and stuff happened and stuff. But mid-January, so 3 weeks into it, I had to hire some help because, like I said, it got busy. And then by month 3, I hired my second RN. And I thought that I was going to be able to run like the reception stuff and everything on my own. No, that again, that by the end of January, I had a receptionist hired as well. And so now I have I have one full-time receptionist, 2 part-time receptionists, a registered nurse, a medic. And then in the summer, we bring on students that work part-time with us, just kind of do like reception work and kind of introduce them to kind of what we do and they can see. And that's been really big too. So like my high school kids that are like 16 and older. But yeah, we definitely got busy really, really fast that I required extra hands pretty fast. And we're at a point now that we started offering aesthetics. I feel like I'm about to have to bring on someone else or keep someone here for sure full time where 2 of us are here running at the same time.
Okay, so let's catch up on a couple of these past questions. Jacqueline, HSA or flex spending account, you can use those. It's all about the payment processors. That's making sure that they accept those. So yes, you can. I will go over CPOM here in a minute for that question. Karina, how are you listing GLP-1s on Gloss Genius with prices, considering the price changes with the dose? Did you set it up with a price or just list it as the consultation?
So I set my prices for my GLP-1s per vial. So for my at-home weight loss therapy, for example, like the 10.8 milligram vial of tirzepatide, I set the price for that vial. So they can see all the vials and like the dosing, like the dose for that vial. I have that price. And then I have my consult listed separate. So my consult's listed for 25. I charge them 25 for consults. So when that way, I have it truly listed that way too, so that they come in or they call or even come in and communicate with us. So they don't go and order just whatever they want and it's already paid for. And then it's truly not even within protocol. So it kind of initiates that conversation of like, hey, which vial do I need? And that's, if it's a new patient, I'll be like, well, hey, have you been on weight loss shots before? Or is this your first time? And then it initiates, okay, well, per protocol, we've got to start you at, 1.25 milligrams for 3 weeks. And then if it's indicated, we can increase your dose by week 4 and so forth. So that allows us to, again, initiate the education about dosing and how to properly increase dose and everything. So like my initial patients, I'll be like, okay, so you need the 18 milligram vial of tirzepatide. This is going to allow me to, work through 3 different doses for your first starter of 8 weeks. And this is going to give me a really good range of if we're going to have to keep increasing dose or we're going to be able to keep you on lower doses. So I have my prices listed per vial. And then my clinic weight loss, I have it listed per dose as well. So it's like if you start at 0.22 milligrams of semaglutide, that starts at $35. And then if your dose increases, my price increases per dose, if that makes sense. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, I got a good one for you here. Great question here from Steph. How did you know the right time to quit your day job and dive into business?
Ooh. So I don't know. you know, if anybody's like spiritual here or not, but I'm very spiritual. I talk to Jesus all day, every day. I, you know, really pray to him about opening doors and closing doors. And I don't know if y'all remember in the beginning where I said that I had gone back to the hospital here in my little town of Friona, and that something in me just wasn't happy. So the last like 4 months before I left, I had been praying a very specific prayer about God. Where am I supposed to be? What am I doing? Please close the doors that need to be closed, and please open the doors that need to be opened. And in that time frame, things got really hard at my job. Um, I don't know if everybody feels the same way or not, but politics in a hospital are rough. You know, it's really hard to work for somewhere where you're passionate, where my goal is to take care of people and to make people feel better. But sometimes the leadership in a hospital is it's a business for them. You know, it's truly just a business. They could really care less about taking care of people. And to me, my passion is making sure people are taken care of. So at the end of that time frame that I was going in, the last answers, the last prayers that I was praying were answered, and that door closed. I decided that, you know, enough was enough, that I didn't think that feeling the way I was feeling as a nurse and as a human in that position in the hospital wasn't what I wanted anymore for myself. And I was ready to take the step to create a different environment for myself and for my patients as well. So that right there, like I had it, it was the door closed and the door opened and said, okay, you're done here because you don't want to feel this way. It's time for you to do it your way and take care of yourself the way you want to. And I did. And it was the best decision I ever made.
So, hey, would you agree with this statement? I love to say this. Justin's going to laugh. Fear is like an ocean that's a mile wide, but an inch deep. So when you actually step out into it, it's not near as scary as you thought it was.
Yeah.
Most of us are like that. I think some of you may know, some of you may not. My very first business was I opened a gym, a CrossFit gym. That was my very first business I ever ran. This back in 2011 is when I started thinking about it. It took me over 2 years to do it. 2 years. And the only reason I finally did it is because my wife, Beth, my beautiful wife, said, babe, stop talking about it. Either do it or just quit. Like she was like, I don't want to hear about it no more. That next week, I went out and took a collateral loan on my truck. I still have that truck. And I took a collateral loan on it, and I went out and bought the equipment. I had no clue what I was doing, and I just opened it. Now, I learned a lot of lessons along the way because back then I didn't have something like this, right, that was guiding me or anything like that. I was just trying to figure it out on my own. And it did take me a long time to figure it out on my own. But I say that because we all have fears of things. And it's typically that first step of faith or just trusting yourself before you realize, like, this is not as scary as I thought. So, okay, got two questions here. I want to cover the Buyers Club. I just real quick on this. I put the link in there. I put the Facebook group in there. We do aesthetic products. We have some partnerships. We get great deals for nurses in our community. Even if you're not in on demand, you can still sign up. It's just a longer process because you got to get verified and all that. And got to have a medical director and everything. So if you want more details on that, look at the link, get into the Facebook group, answer the questions, or Heather will not let you in. She's my partner over there. Okay. And then I'm going to do a quick, there was a question about corporate practice of medicine. I'm going to do this quick. So if you want to jam more on this, just Facebook me. If you are in a corporate practice of medicine state like Texas, medical, like the owner has to typically be a doctor on paper. Okay. So what that means is you need more than just a medical director agreement. You need what's called an MSO or MSA agreement, mortgage management service agreement or management service organization. They're the same thing. All that states is how you get paid. Okay. So you can't really get paid straight for a medical service, but you can get paid for staffing. You can get paid for marketing. You can get paid for any admin, all these other things. So that's what that states. The second thing to do the corporate practice of medicine correctly is that the money flows to the doctor. There's an asterisk because there's a couple states that are different than that are CPOM. But think of it like this. Here is the doctor. Here is Karina. Okay. And then here's her patients that she's doing services for. The money is going to go to the doctor first, and then it's going to come back to Karina. And there's different ways to do that. You can have the doctor on your account. You're on the joint account together. You can do one of the things that we do is we provide a point of sale system. So the money goes into the doctor's PLLC account and then transfers to your business bank account, which is typically your LLC account. And then the most expensive way is the doctor opens up a brand new PLLC that's just for your business. So for Karina, it would be KO Hydration and Wellness PLLC. And then same thing, the money goes into that account and then he transfers it to her business bank account afterwards. Okay, so that's a quick version, but if you need more questions on that, just DM me directly. Okay, so let's get a couple more questions here. I like that, Justin. Erin said she feels like you're talking to her. Awesome, Steph. Okay, who else? Any other questions while we got Karina? Number one, Karina, thank you so much. I know you're busy for making time for everybody.
Always. I
So,
love to. I love to help people.
yes. Anybody else have questions for Karina? So typically you're going to want an LLC. Some NPs will do PLLCs, but as an RN, you just need an LLC. Doctor has the PLLC. The contract is between your LLC, your business, and the doctor's PLLC. Anybody else have any question on anything related to this or anything similar that Karina can jam on with you before we wrap this up?
One question, sorry. For the nurses that you have or your staff that you have hired, how are the nurses paid? Are they paid per hour or is it per bag type of thing?
I pay my nurses per hour. So if they're going to be here, like what we've been doing up until this point is if they're going to be here, I'm typically not here. Or if they are here, I'm doing like administrative work. So I hire them at an hourly rate and I pay them per hour.
Okay. Do you mind me asking what that rate is?
I start mine off at 25 an hour if they are kind of fairly new, haven't really been doing this. One of my nurses that's been a nurse for 35 years, that has worked in the ER world and has a lot of experience sticking and just a lot of experience if like, a patient were to have a reaction and stuff, she knows how to handle it gracefully without having to, pull me in. I started her at 30 an hour. And I do tell, when I'm going through like the interview process and, explaining to them about pay that, this type of setting obviously isn't going to pay like crazy amounts of money per hour, like if you were going to go work, somewhere else. But I feel like it's pretty competitive still. I think the local hospital here starts their RNs at around 27 an hour. So I feel like I stay pretty competitive.
Okay, and then it's the 25 or 30 plus tips, right?
Yes. So if they get any tips, they get that. All 100% is theirs. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Vanessa,
And then
just to give you one other option. So I'm pretty similar to what Karina just told you, but we also do, like with nurses that do mobile for us, we actually switch it up and do a percentage so that they get a specific percentage. The company gets a specific percentage, which is great too, because it encourages them to want to do better and sell more because they're on a percentage, like when they're out doing mobile.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing too is just to think about this in state per state, this could be different. I'm mainly talking about Texas when I tell you this, but there's 20, actually, I think this is everywhere, but there's 20 factors between a contractor and an employee. And depending on, how you pay them and if they buy their own inventory or if you buy it, like there's several things you need to research to know if they're more of a true employee or a contractor. Because obviously that dictates if you have to take out taxes and all that kind of stuff. So go ahead. You had another question, Vanessa.
no, just that about the mobile and the percent. What percent do you guys do?
So I do 60 for the company, 40 for the nurse. They also obviously keep their tip. And the reason I do higher, because my nurses are employees and I'm covering inventory.
Yeah.
Would it be able, like if I 1099 them just because I'm trying to avoid having to pull out taxes and all that for them. So I'm assuming it'd be a 1099, so they'd be a contractor. Could I still provide the supplies and just send them out?
So here's what I'll tell you, and I will tell you this from personal experience because I've been through a Texas Department of Labor audit, and I had to change over some of my nurses, so I know this area very well. Typically, if you're covering supplies, clothing, all of that kind of stuff, that is going to lead you over to more of an employee side, right? Especially if you're requiring them to be somewhere at a certain time. If you wanted to go more back over to contractor side, even having them pay for that supplies is going to push you back over towards contractor. Okay. So like what we used to do is we would take the supplies out first. We'd have an average per bag, and then we took it out first. It's kind of an admin pain in the butt. But when we switched to employees, it didn't matter anymore. It's like, hey, just change it in a percentage, because I did 60 because that's going to help me cover more of the supplies. And so doing that is going to, if you want it to be true contractor, kind of the standard to do it would be whatever percentage you want to do, and then they pay for their own supplies.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I think we got a couple more here. Okay. Okay, so here we go. So essentially, if we get started, you have an MSA with the PLLC. Some reason the LLC and the PLLC didn't work out well. So, for example, if Karina decided she was going to move on to a different medical director, she'll put in her notice, she can move over, and then assuming that they're set up properly the right way, then she'll go underneath with that other doctor's PLLC and go into contract with them and be set up how they do it on that side. So the way it works through us is how I talked about it earlier. But I mean, if you were going to set up the traditional PLLC account, the number one, the doctor will charge you to do it that way. He's going to charge you to go set up a brand new entity for all of that. The company can own that entity. I think this is what you're asking. So Karina could pay for the doctor to go set up a whole nother PLLC account that is owned by the company, owned by KO Hydration and Wellness. And so Karina is able to switch out that doctor if needed. The doctor, whoever is a part of that PLLC, is going to own that business, right? But she is able to put it in contract where she can switch that out because doctors are going to change and things are going to happen. So hope that answers. If not, shoot me a DM on Facebook.
Brandon, just to ask a question, I already have the LLC created and everything like that. Would you be able to kind of look at it just if I began with y'all just to make sure that my structure is right, or do I have to redo it all over again?
You already have an LLC?
Yes.
I mean, I don't mind looking at it at all. If you have an LLC already set up,
Yeah.
then you're good to go. Are you an RN?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, just a basic LLC, and your LLC does not have to be the same name as your business. And do not, if you have not done your LLC, anybody else, do not put medical in your name. If you put medical, it's going to get kicked back because you're not a doctor. I see Justin shaking his head over there. So I've had that happen multiple times to other nurses. But no, and Carol, don't mind looking at it, but if you're already set up as an LLC, you're good to go. What that does for y'all, just so you know, number one, the contract has to be between two businesses. But for you personally, you can go set up your business bank account. You can go get your EIN number, which that's free, typically, your EIN. Typically, your LLC is $300 through the state of Texas if you're in Texas. Other states have their fees, but it's around there if you go do it yourself. And it's very easy to maintenance once a year. Typically, is all you got to maintenance it. But that allows you to get your business bank account. That allows you to start getting business credit if you want to get a business credit card, which I totally recommend. I have like almost 1.5 million miles for cards because we put all of our inventory on it. So every time we fly, it's $10. We pay the government fees and that's it. So you can get lots of perks from business credit cards, but good question. All right. Any last questions?
There were a few in here that we didn't answer.
You missed some? Go
Let's
ahead.
see. Jacqueline asked, how did you get over your first day nerves or fear? The closer my opening is, the more nervous I get. Ooh, that's a good one. Truly, I don't know if I did get over them. that first go around, basically what I usually tell people when I talk to people about this is that growth happens in discomfort. So you just have to go with it and just go through the discomfort and the fear and the nerves, but know that growth will happen with it. So I've gotten really good at just putting my nerves aside, like I just kind of hide them and I just truck through it. And then at the end of it, I'm like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So you just kind of have to truck through it is usually the best advice I can give on that one.
One other thing
And then,
I
yeah,
want
go
to
ahead.
bring up, you did a soft opening. What are the benefits of
Yeah.
doing a soft opening to practice your routines and making sure you have everything in order?
Yes. Yeah, that was a big one for me too. The soft opening helped me realize what I was missing too, or kind of little things that I didn't get, or, just to kind of figure out the flow of how things would work too. That's a big one too. I do agree with that.
And just a little quick recap on what that is. If I was getting ready to launch and Carol's my friend, Justin's my friend, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get 3 to 5 people. Like if I'm doing mobile IV therapy, my goal is to get 3 to 5 people minimum over at my house. I'm going to probably hook them up with a half-priced IV. I'm still making money. And part of that is, hey, know that I'm going to take my time. I'm going to make sure I get everything right. Also, you got to post and share it on Facebook. That's part of what I'm giving you the special for. And then that's where I would take my time, make sure I'm using my EMR correctly, make sure I have my whole system set up. I'm going to check them out normal. Like I'm going to go through my good faith exams, getting 4-5 reps in of that. Just like Karina said, you're going to learn some things. Yep, I'm not doing it this way anymore. Like it makes you so much more confident. So when you launch, it's like, cool, I've already done this a few times. I feel good about it. And I've already corrected a few things. So that's what, as a soft launch, you can do, whether it's at a location or at somebody's house or a business even. So go ahead, Karina.
Angelica said, do they take the tips same day or does it still flow through the business and then released with pay? If the client leaves a cash tip, then they'll get to take it home the same day. If they leave the tip on, like with their card on our system, then we run it through. And then on payroll day, because I run payroll for my employees, I add their tips to their check for them at each week because we run payroll weekly here.
Miss any other ones in there?
What's protocol for them taking tips same day? Do you still track?
Do you track? We don't track. So for us personally at our location, if they have a cash tip, we don't track that since they get all of the
Yeah.
tip. We only
I don't track cash either.
Yeah, we just track the credit card because obviously when we do payroll, we have to ship that, they have to get their tips on top of that. So
Yep, same. That's the exact same way I do it too.
okay, I'm gonna pick on somebody. Aaron.
Yes, Brandon.
All right, Aaron. I saw you over there hanging out. Okay, do me a favor, Aaron. Give me one question, one thing that's been in your head, one thing you've been thinking about that you want to ask, or you just want to say, hey, this is where I feel like I need help. Just give me one thing. Let Karina give you some advice on one thing. What do you got?
Since we're strictly mobile, with the company that we're with right now, it's really difficult to do like a group because I can't get a hold of anybody. And I think you've answered most of my questions, but for your mobile nurses, when you're doing a group situation, how do the GFEs work? Is it just the same?
Yeah, so the nurse pracs that are set up with on-demand wellness, have y'all officially launched that for everybody, Brandon, the on-demand wellness GFEs?
So for the internal ones,
Yeah.
we're still changing a
Is
few
it being
things.
tested?
Yeah, it's still being
Okay.
tested, but then we still use Qualify.
Okay. Yeah, so that's Qualify works really well. That's a program that we get set up with as well. And it's so easy. So basically like once you have them fill out the intake form for everybody, you still send them the link and they can all jump onto that Qualify literally at the same time because
Start getting it
they have
done.
Yeah, they have so
Okay.
many nurse pracs through the qualified program that will allow them to get it done right then and there. So that
So,
usually works pretty good.
okay, I ran into a situation last night where it was 6:30 and I couldn't get a hold of anybody. I was trying to do a GLP-1 follow-up and there was no one. So it had to wait till today.
Okay, so I use Qualify actually for that, for those
Okay.
specific reasons. If
Okay.
I have like a weekend one or a late one where I'll get a phone call like at 7 o'clock at night for somebody
Right.
that's sick and I go do a house call and it's new, I will use Qualify because their hours are pretty
Broad.
open.
Yeah.
I think it's like 7 a.m. to like 9 p.m. maybe, and
Okay,
it's
that's
like
really good.
Monday through Sunday, which we are set up
Okay.
through Qualify as well. Yeah, I usually
Okay.
use them.
Okay.
Yeah, and Qualify is great because they have no monthly fee. You just pay
Okay.
it per usage. But as Karina said, they're open 14 hours and it's great. Like I could go on there right now, and if Karina was my patient, put her info in, she's getting a text message within a minute. All right. And that
Hmm.
she clicks on it, it pops her up in the screen. Think of it as a waiting room. And then typically within 30 seconds to a minute, 2 minutes tops, boom, a nurse practitioner is on the screen. They have their basic information and they start going straight into their GFE. So
Okay, good deal.
very streamlined. Um, okay. How frequently does the MD review the GFEs? So per state, medical directors have a specific amount of charting that they have to review. And so depending on the state, that's for all of our nurses that are using Intake Q, it's easy because our doctor and our PAs all have master access. So they go in there and do their reviews as needed. And then, so that's only dictated by state. So, okay, Vanessa, I'm going to say no. And here's the reason. I'm sure you saw, Vanessa, are you in Texas?
Yes, Texas.
Okay. So look up Jennifer's Law when you have time. Jennifer's Law passed last year, which was stupid, but it only allows doctors to dictate to RNs, PAs, MPs for IV therapy. They pretty much cut out anybody below that. LVNs used to be fine with on-site oversight. It could be an RN, it could have been a doctor. They even had some verbiage that allowed them to operate independently under a medical director after they've been established, but Jennifer's Law pretty much wiped that out. So RNs is the way to go.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Karina, did we get all those?
I think so. It looks like we got all the ones in the chat.
Okay, last chance here. If anybody wants to ask a question before we hop off, I know that there's going to be some follow-up questions. I am throwing my number in the chat. I know some of you already have it. Some of you may be talking to my team, but take that number down. We're here if you have questions. Karina, this has been great. Thank you so much for taking the time just to share with everybody and answer questions. This is great. Like
Yeah.
having this community is, we want everybody to rise together. And so it's so awesome that you do this, that help everybody out. So,
Yeah, for sure.
all right, last chance.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. And y'all are always welcome to reach out to me personally as well. I'm happy to answer questions if y'all need it. I've had several that have reached out and helped them personally through just personal messages. So
Thank
I'm
you
happy to
very
do that
much.
as well. Yeah, you bet.
Awesome. All right, guys, I'm going to hang around for a couple minutes for anybody who might pop off and have a question. Otherwise, thank you all, everybody. We hope you have a great, great week. And I'll send it to you.
Okay,
I'll send your info.
perfect.
So if you need to connect with me, guys, my phone number is in the chat. If you want Karina's info, Karina, I will share. I'll get with you and then I'll share it with them. Just,
Okay.
yep. So awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you all.
Thanks, Brandon and Karina both. We appreciate you.